Hi everyone, in today's quick tip video I'm just going to show you how I wind my own bobbins for my embroidery machine. I've seen a few people mention in a couple of different groups that they always struggle to use the bobbins that they wind themselves, and people resort to buying pre-wound bobbins. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. I don't use pre-wound bobbins, I always wind my own, but I understand that if you struggle winding your bobbins, then obviously you're going to, purchase pre-wound ones. But I personally feel it's cheaper to buy your bobbin fill and just do your own. So I'm going to show you how I do it on my machine. Your threading might be slightly different, but the tips that I'm going to give you will hopefully help you. So leave me a comment under the video if you try it and if it helps or not. On my machine here, I've got my Brother 60 weight bobbin thread. So I'm just going to put that onto the spool at the back. That's the one I use for winding bobbins. Now on my machine, it goes through that guide, then it goes anti-clockwise through this little wheel here. Now, yours might be slightly different, but this is what I do with regards to the bobbin, and this always works for me. So I'm just going to keep hold of that for a minute. I'm going to bring in one of my bobbins and pop it onto the bobbin pin. Now I go from the back of the bobbin, I pull out a length, maybe about 12 inches, and I hand wrap it around the bobbin as many times as I can within that length of thread, generally anything between about 6 and 12. And then there's a cutter here, and I thread that through there and pull, and that cuts that. And this works for me every time. And then lock your bobbin into place. Now on my machine, once I engage this pops up here, and I have mine on fast. You can have it on slow or medium or fast, however you want it. I leave it on fast and I press start. And once I press start, that will start winding at the top. So I'm just going to bring you back so that hopefully you can see this. And can you see straight away, because you've wound it around so many times and you've cut the thread in here, it winds perfectly, and it will just keep on winding, and then it will stop itself when it's full. Now if you don't want a full bobbin, on my machine I use the Brother Innovis V5 LE. You would just press the stop button, if you only wanted a small amount of thread. But when I'm just filling all my bobbins up with white bobbin thread, this is what I do, and I let it run until it just clicks off. I always use the Brother fill for my machine. It's a Brother machine, so I use the Brother embroidery fill. That way again, I think it just helps with stitching. So that's clicked off now, and this has dropped back out of place. So I can cut that thread and just pull some out, and that is now a perfectly wound bobbin with the thread on. So from here, I put these little clips on, and I keep them all in my embroidery pouch that I've shown you how to make this in a previous video. I'll link to it at the end of this video if you're interested. And then just going to bring another one in and just do another one just to show you. So I'm going to pop that on. I've got a length of thread here. I'm going to come from round the back, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cut that off, lock this into place and press start. And again, you'll see it just instantly grabs it and starts to fill it. And I found by doing this, where you hand wind it about 10 times and then cutting the thread in the cutter, that it works perfectly every time. You don't need to feed the thread through the little hole that's in the bobbin. You don't need to go to all that messing about. Just pop your bobbin on, hand wind it, clip it into place and start. Make sure you cut it off though. I think that's kind of a bit of the secret, by hand winding it and then cutting it so that the thread is being held with the cutter. So again, it's just clicked off, and I'm just going to cut the thread, pull a bit out and leave it dangling. Take this one off, and again you'll see, I'll just hand wind it a little bit. You'll see it's all wound perfectly and even. And then, as I say, I just put my little thread holder on, and then that's another one to go into my little embroidery case. And I'll do that for all my bobbins that are, once they're all empty. So I work with all the bobbins, and when they're all empty, I'll just spend, you know, maybe 10-15 minutes and wind all the bobbins, and then I've got them then to go at my embroidery projects, you know, for as long as I want. And I do exactly the same with my sewing threads. So if I'm going to use a lot of white thread in the bobbin case, I do exactly the same, and all my sewing bobbins with the sewing thread go in here. And that's how I keep them separate, so that I know that so many are wound with embroidery fill, and then in my other pouch they're wound just with regular sewing thread. So I hope you found that tip useful. As I say, leave me any comments under this video, you know, letting me know if you do this, or if you're going to try it, or if you have any other way of doing yours. But this seems to work for me. In the past, I've spent time trying to feed thread through the hole in the bobbin and hand winding it a couple of times and putting it on, and then I've started the machine up and the thread's got all caught all around here, and I've had to lift this section off and, you know, cut thread away. Doing it this way, making sure it's hand wound so many times and cutting it off here with the thread cutter, it works every time. Anyway, that's today's quick tip video. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye for now.